What's going on, guys? Heart Pirates TCG here. I got some new lighting. It actually looks pretty good. Makes me look good for once and not like a actual like orc. so, um, this originally was supposed to be just a local feature match video, but while I was on the topic, I played, I think, a great game with this Sakazuki deck into supposedly one of our worst matchups, which is Katakuri. And what I wanted to do was talk to you about my plays before the match started. That way you can kind of get a good idea about what I'm talking about, and then I'm going to reinforce it by showing you some gameplay. So without further ado, let me go ahead and show you the live scene. Oh, that is the that's what I'm listening to in the background, but that's RuneScape right there. Let me go ahead and push that right over here. Perfect. Okay. So what I wanted to talk to you about first, that's the thumbnail, was these three cards right here. We're going to call this conserving your resources, right? So Borsalino, Houndblaze, and Lucci are pretty much your only removal in this deck, right? You play either anywhere from 3 to 4 Lucci, 2 to 4 Borsalino, and 4 Houndblaze. That's the only removal you're going to have. Only one of those is actually going to be recyclable, which is the Lucci. Of course, you can put these back in your deck with Lucci, but that's at the bottom of your deck. There's no way to shuffle it, so there's no guarantee you're going to go through the entire deck. These are most likely just going to be at the bottom if you do decide to use them too late. So with that being said, you have to know when to conserve your resources, when to use your cards, right? Because if you, for example, waste your Houndblaze on I don't know, like for example, the 3-cost blocker, the Brule. If you use your Houndblaze on that, then if they play a Parasparrow next turn, then you're going to have to use another Houndblaze, or you're going to have to use a Lucci, which is going to give them a search, right? So you don't want to do that. A lot of the times you have to realize when to use them, right? I always say when it's not a threat, when the card is not going to cause you any harm in the next couple turns, I would not use any removal on it. The only time you ever remove it is if you can conveniently do it as a second target with Lucci. Other than that, you just don't do it, right? It's just it's not worth it. And that is the reason why sometimes people with the Sakazuki leader, they try to cycle their hand every single turn, when sometimes they just have every card they need, right? Like, let's say you have like a Houndblaze and a Borsalino, a Great Eruption, a 2K counter, and an Ice Age, right? It's pretty good, right? I mean, what else are you really searching for? If you discard this Houndblaze, what are you searching for? You're not searching for a 2K, most likely, unless you have 0 life left. Just stay put where you are, right? So don't discard a Houndblaze if you need it for later on, or you think you might need it. Don't discard a Lucci if you think you might need it later on. Same with the Borsalino. And also don't use them on cards that are not worth using them on, because you need to get rid of the threats with these cards and then apply pressure with these cards. You don't just use them just to establish bodies on the board, unless they're literally just playing nothing, and then you just kind of have to put something on the board, right? So that's that. And then the second thing we're going to talk about is knowing when to use these as well, right? So like I said, Ice Age, Great Eruption, and Rebecca. Ice Age and Great Eruption are just the two best cards in the game for removal, along with Hina as well, but Rebecca basically is Hina in a sense, right? Rebecca grabs Hina for the most part. You don't usually play Rebecca early unless you want to bottom deck something, or get a blocker on the field because you have no counters, or apply pressure. Build a board while also applying pressure. For example, on a 6-dawn turn, I did this against Whitebeard. I didn't have any counters in hand, so on my 6-dawn turn, he played a Marco the turn before. I played this Rebecca, got a Hina out the trash, played it, -4 cost to the Marco, and then I played my Houndblaze to bottom deck the Marco and then swing for 8 with my leader, right? On that turn, I established a blocker to maybe help with survivability while I filter out my hand. I attacked for 8k, which is, at least a guaranteed hit against Whitebeard or Purple Luffy, Red Purple Luffy or Purple Luffy for that matter. And then I also established a 5k that is either at the end of the day, a pseudo blocker, because it's, rested, and it can basically either take a hit or, with a couple Dawn on it, really do some damage next turn, or I established either a blocker or some an attack threat, right? All in one turn with Rebecca. However, most of the time you want to save Rebecca for, the late game when, you're playing around, playing Ice Age and Great Eruption, right? And you already have a Lucci on board, right? Or in hand. So you would use Ice Age, and then you would use Rebecca, get the Hina out the trash, and then, Minds Force something, and then Lucci, double pop, some big characters, right? Unless you have little counter in hand, or you're trying to go into a very aggressive way, it's very detrimental to use Rebecca when there's not really a point, especially because she's a 0-cost blocker, and there's a lot of things that can kill 0-cost blockers, right? So 0-cost blockers, especially against red, are just easily killed. You only really want to put them out whenever they're starting to run out of resources. That way they can have a very little chance of actually being able to pop it. Even against other decks, like against yellow, like if they trigger Thunderbolt out of life, Rebecca's an easy target. She's a blocker. Or against blue, if they play Red Rock still, some versions of blue play Red Rock. You can get it bottom decked, right? When they start running out of resources, that's usually when it's best to play Rebecca. Whitebeard did this a lot, especially towards the later bits of the set when people got smarter, is they had, let's say, 3 choppers and a Fossa in hand, and they wouldn't play a single one of them until 10 dawn, or the turn after 10 dawn, and be like, okay, now I have 4 blockers, go, right? And the guy on the other the guy on the opposite side of the table has 5 cards in hand, and most likely none of them are going to take care of that many blockers, right? Unless it's like double Lucci, which is still it's pretty crazy, but it's very rare that you're going to be able to get rid of blockers at the end of the game, because you usually use your resources on other cards, and then the blocker is just that you can't get rid of me card, and it often ends up winning you the game, right? Just one blocker can end up winning you the game, right? So learn how to use these effectively. That way you don't use them at the wrong time and they get killed by a trigger or killed by a character, or just, they don't serve their purpose, because Rebecca, again, can be used to get 2Ks out. It can be used to get Lucci out. You just want to save it for when it's going to have the most use, right? Same with obviously these two to the right of it. And then of course, this is your stabilization card. This is only played if you can play it with and get away with it, right? If you can't get away with it, if you're at 1 life and they have 3 characters on board, you don't play this card unless you have a ton of blockers or a bunch of pressure, because if you play this, you're going to draw 4, yes, but if they swing 7 at life, you're going to discard 2 of those just to save your card. To save your life. You can't save any up for counter, obviously, because it's a 10 cost. It's a 10 Dawn character. So you play this if you have 3 life, or maybe even 2 life, but maybe 2 blockers and control of the board. You play this when you have control of the board, and this is pretty much like a nail in the coffin. You play this especially in the mirror match when both players are running out of cards, and that way you draw 4. You have a 10 cost character, that's a 12k attacker. The cost is actually the most important thing, because like I said, when you play this when you run out of resources, they're not going to have the cards to actually get out of this big character on top of whatever else you have on the board, right? If you have a Lucci or a Borsellino, if you drop this and a Borsellino, they're not getting rid of both of them. It's very unlikely with 4 or 5 cards in hand. It's very unlikely. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get to the match. The match just has normal commentary, so it's gonna reintroduce myself again. And then also it's going to tell you about my case tournament my cash prize tournament that has thousands of dollars in prize support, and I'll let you guys get to it, but enjoy the video. Hey, what's going on, guys? Horror Pirates TCG here, bringing you a good match from my locals. This is actually in the finals for the anniversary event that we played. Unfortunately, we had a very small amount of people for this one because we had 3 different anniversary events throughout the city. So I went to this one, and it was a little bit smaller, but I went to the same one yesterday and did pretty well with this deck. Just lost to basically not having counters. So honestly, this deck has been great. I've been getting very far with it on the simulator as well as just in person. And it feels very smooth to play with. Real quick, guys, we are having a tournament on the 23rd. It's going to be a webcam tournament. First place is going to win $1,000 if we get 80 people. And then 2nd through 8 is going to win $200. It's going to be a cash tournament in PayPal. If we get even more people than 80, of course, we're going to raise the stakes a little bit and increase the prize pool. But it just depends on how many of you guys sign up. Go ahead and join the the Discord down below and go to event details to, you know, sign up and pay and submit your deck list and all that good stuff. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start this game off. My bad. I thought I fast forwarded it to like right when the game was about to start, but it looks like we had about a minute of dead air, which gives me perfect time to talk about my tournament, I guess. So I win the dice roll. We did closest to 7 and I got 6 and he got 9. So on a normal day, he would have actually won, but because we do closest to 7, at least what I've been doing recently, I win more dice rolls that way because I never win dice rolls anyway. So I start with a brand new. And brand new, I have to think about this for a second because I think I have 2 really good options here. And I said, I think this is just better again. I think this is just better overall, you know, cost minusing against the Katakuri player. And then I trash a Hina and I draw a card. So Hina is pretty much always just going to be the card that you trash. The only time you don't trash it is if you need to get a 2k out of your life from Rebecca. So you get the 2k out of your life and then just play the Hina from hand. That's pretty much the only way. He goes ahead and plays a what is it called? A Brule. And I swing 5 at life, I minus it, and he just blocks with it, which is great because I wasn't gonna play Blaze Hound anyway, or Hound Blaze. So I mean, it's totally fine. I actually talked to this player on the left, cool guy. His name is Andrew, and he says that he counters out very early against Sakazuki because he's not really gonna have any cards to counter out against Sakazuki either way. Like, I bottom deck everything he plays, so he doesn't really need it to control the board. So he protects his life very early and just hopes that like big moms can win him later on in the game, which isn't really a bad philosophy, but sometimes I think maybe it might be a little bit too rigid. Sometimes it is good to take life so you have better options on what to play, but Katakuri is a very linear deck at the end of the day, so maybe, I mean, he plays it more than I do, so maybe he has some merit to it. But I go ahead and cost -2 the Cracker by playing the Great Eruption, and then I swing 7 at his life with my Borsellino. And then I swing, I think I just play around Thunderbolt. I play the Blaze Hound plus 3,000 to my brand new. I swing 6 at his life. I think he discards a 1, and I swing 6 at his life, and he discards another 2k. So then I use my leader effect, discard the Sakazuki, the Lucci, and then I pass. I discard the Lucci at the end because I already know what I'm going to be doing for the turn. I think that's the best play. And a lot of times, guys, I swing with the Borsellino because not only does he apply pressure, but if he attacks the Borsellino, he's basically taking a block either way because he then blocks an attack, right? He dies, and therefore he turns into a blocker. So he swings 8 at the Borsellino, and then he goes ahead and plays a Randolph. Now, here is where I wish I had the other Blaze Hound, but I still think that it was a good play to go aggressive there because now he has very few cards in it. I think he has 3. I use my leader effect to trash a Tashiki. I'm really digging for a Great Eruption here because I think I have... I don't remember what I had, but I know I can get out of this. I think I was digging for a Great Eruption, and what really sucks is I didn't want to use my... I already have a Blaze Hound, but I didn't want to use my Ice Age that I already had in hand. I'm about to sneeze real quick, guys. Yeah, Randolph just applies a lot of pressure. 2 7k attacks very early into Sakazuki is just really dangerous. So I had to get rid of it pretty quickly. And then I go ahead and swing 6 at life and 6 at life. And then I go ahead and play a Borsellino, which is just so good into this matchup, guys. So good. And then he goes ahead. I think he's at, is it 9 Dawn here? I don't remember exactly which one. I think he is at 9 Dawn here because I think next turn I play the Kaido. So he swings 5 at life. I go ahead and block it, and then he goes ahead and plays the Yamato here and pops the brand new because he can't pop the Borsellino. He would have really caught me off guard. He would have played the Enel right there because if he played Russian Enel, I would have definitely been in a worse spot. But then I play 10 cost Kaido, and the reason I play 10 cost Kaido is because he has 3 life. I draw 4 cards, which happen to be very useful into his deck. And the thing is, like, he's a 12k that just constantly allows me to like pressure board and pressure life, obviously, but right now he's not applying pretty much any pressure to me. So there's no reason for me not to play the 12k, because this is pretty much the only time I can play it, because even if he plays the Big Mom here, I'm not necessarily concerned. He swings 5 at life here, and of course I actually choose to block it, to counter out of this one as well. And the reason I choose to counter out is because he either is going to attack it with his Yamato, which turns into a double block. So he attacks it. So yep, I block one, and then he attacks with Yamato, and it turns into a double block, because it takes basically 2 hits. And then he plays a Big Mom and trashes my life, gains life, so he's at 4 life, and I think he has 3 cards in hand. So yeah, the board slingers just put in work pretty much this entire game right here. And then I consider what I want to do for a second, but I'm basically just going to use that Kaido to, you know, apply pressure, especially like I said early on, like because he countered out of a lot of stuff early on. I'm able to just basically kill his Yamato for free by in battle, and then bottom deck the Big Mom. So I'm thinking about the numbers that I need to swing here and how much Dawn I need to basically get my effects off in an efficient way. I put 1 Dawn on Kaido, making him a 13. I swing 9, or I'm sorry, I swing 13 at the 9, so he'd have to discard every card in his hand for him to be able to get out of it. And then I go ahead and just swing 6 at life here, -1 cost to the Big Mom, making her a 9. He triggers into a Pero and trashes a Thunderbolt. And then I drew into another Ice Age, which I keep saying is just better than Kuzan right now, because, you know, at least Ice Age has a trigger. And then I make the Big Mom a 4 cost, and then it goes, of course, to the bottom of the deck with the Borsalino. So now I have a 12k and an 8k, and I'm in just, you know, control of this game completely. Even if he drops another Big Mom here, I think I'm still good, because I think I have Rebecca and maybe like a couple 2ks in hand, so I'm really not too concerned. It is scary though when he goes tall here, because he goes 8 at life here, and I opt, because he has 3 Dawns separated, so I assume he's just going to go 9, so I opt to counter out of this one with 2 cards and then take the next one, so I'm not at 0 life. That way he can't do any like sneaky stuff, you know, like a Maru or something like that, or, you know, if one attack just happens to get through something I can't counter out of or block, then I'm just going to lose, which is just not something that I want to do. It's not the business I want to be in. I go ahead and trash the Borsalino I just drew for turn, and draw a card. Loving the arts, by the way, for the cards. I think set 5 has some of my favorite arts in the entire game. Surprisingly enough, I think the manga rares in this deck, or in the set, are super ugly. Luffy's alright, but Kid and Law really aren't that good looking. Not really worth the price tag in my opinion. I think the Oda, like Rush Luffy, I think it's also pretty ugly. I prefer the Winter Rush Luffy that we get from the Winter pack. You know, like I think it's also a Treasure Cruise one. But yeah, overall not really too impressed. I swing 5 at life here. I think I -5. I think I minus a cost to the Paris Bearer here, and I believe, does he block this or does he take it? I don't remember. But I think I'm going to go for maybe a Lucci play. I don't remember. I think I didn't grab Lucci until way later. I swing, I play Blazehound. I bottom deck the Parasparrow, give the Borsalino a +3, and swing 11-12. He goes ahead and takes that, and then doesn't trigger it. And then I play a Rebecca. What Rebecca's going to do is allow me to get back a 2k from hand. And then I think I have a Borsalino here too. Which, yep, a Borsalino, which just put in so much work in this game, guys. Like, this Borsalino is just absolutely huge. It took multiple hits. It's a double block. It's also un-KOable, so even you know, a Thunderbolt wouldn't really catch me off guard here. Now, an Amaru would definitely hurt here, and if he had an Amaru, I would be kind of concerned, because I only had 4k worth of counter, so I'd have to counter out. I'd have to be able to counter out of one of those, because he's going to kill the Rebecca, obviously, or rest the Rebecca or the Borsalino with Amaru, and give something. I think it's +3. Amaru is a +3 or a +2. And then I'd have to counter out of one of them with a 4k. So his 9. He either swings 8 or 9. I'd have to counter out of that, or something along those lines. I don't remember the math here, but that was basically the only way he can beat me, is if he had a Maru on top of, like, I don't know, like maybe something else. I think maybe I misplayed a little bit by attacking with the Kaido, because then I could have lost to a Maru right there. But as you can see, I have a 2k and then 2 1ks. I think I might have 2 2ks and a 1k, but I know for a fact I only have like 4 or 5k worth of counter. So yeah, maybe doing the what's called there was not smart, attacking with the Kaido there to bring him down to 1, because Amaru, if you're not ready for it, can really actually just end the game, and that's Sakazuki's like main tool right now. Amaru is definitely, in my opinion, like a 3 or 4 of in this game right now for Katakuri. He swings 9 at life. I go ahead and block with the Rebecca. And then he just goes ahead and does, I think he plays like 2 blockers here, like Brule and Sanji, I want to say. Yeah, because he can't kill me. It's pretty much impossible. If you see my hand, I have the, what's it called that I took? He swings 5 at life here, I block, and then he has 3 blockers. And then I draw into, I think, a 2K here. And I bait the Lucci. I don't think I actually had the Lucci. I had the 3000 Worlds, but he had no cards in hand, so I think I was just going to math him out of the game here. So I think what I was going to do, if I remember correctly, if this was smart, I would swing with the Borsalino first, possibly. Maybe not, because maybe I just want to like minus something and see what he does before I make a commitment. So I swing 5 at life here, and I minus the Sanji, and then he goes ahead and blocks with the same Sanji, which is fine. And then, yeah, I don't swing the Borsalino first because just in case I can't go for game here. And then I swing 5 at life here, and I just go ahead and bottom deck the last blocker, and then I just go, you know, what, 9 or 8. He has 1 card in hand, so I just math him out and then go 8, 12. My last life actually was a Lucci, so that would have been helpful if he was going for game. But yeah, guys, I think undefeated against Katakuri. Maybe I've lost like 1 game against Katakuri. Oh yeah, I did lose earlier today just for practice, because I misplayed a couple times, he misplayed a couple times, but it was just practice. But this deck, it actually does pretty good against Katakuri, at least, you know, the builds that I've played against. Maybe I just know how to play against Katakuri very well, but for the most part, yeah, I don't really think it's too much of a problem. I think Whitebeard's more of a problem than Katakuri. But yeah, guys, let me know if you guys like these videos. I can just keep making some, like, you know, post like 2 to 3 to 4 every week, and then the rest go to my YouTube members. So yeah, guys, I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.